Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
Hey, I'm Logan. I'm a Sergeant First Class in the Army, and I've been lucky enough to secure one of the charity slots provided by the Lifetime Foundation for next year's Leadville 100. In order to do this, I'm looking to raise around $2,800 over the course of the next year to donate to the Lifetime Foundation. A lot of their focus is on youth movement and nutrition and conservation, among other things. And it's a really great cause, and I appreciate any help that you guys could give, and a little bit goes a long way, and it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation, the MisFitNation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the MisFitNation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the MisFitNation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, Stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, Welcome to the MisFit Nation.
Show.
Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. The ToosDay Crue is here, hosted by Stephen LaMonica and Jake Collin. It is a MisFitNation production that brings powerful stories of grit, resilience, and leadership to life. Stephen is a business leader and YouTube consigliere, ensures the show runs smoothly, providing real-time feedback and maintaining discipline during live broadcasts. Jake, a 25-year Army veteran and former EOD tech. We call him Hurt Locker. We call him Lacey. Offers deep insights from his extensive service, which includes multiple combat deployments and VIP missions around the globe. Together, they welcome guests from diverse backgrounds to share their journeys, inspiring listeners with stories of overcoming adversity and leading with purpose. Whether you're tuning in for the insightful discussions or to enjoy Steven's passion for NASCAR or Jake's anecdotes from his farm in Kentucky, the ToosDay Crue delivers a unique blend of entertainment and inspiration every week. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ToosDay Crue.
What an introduction.
It was introduced. I just don't know what happened on our end. Good evening, Jake. How are you?
Good evening, Stephen. Doing pretty good. How's things over there on the East Coast?
Well, East Coast like. I look out my window, I see the two big lights shooting up in New York where the tower should have been or should be.
Yes.
You get that eerie feeling in the pit of your stomach, and you hope that people still remember that, that happened, It bothers me every day.
I was just reflecting on that today. I know exactly where I was at, what I was doing. And yeah, that was a rough one. One. Well, hey,
and to stack it all that day, I was going to the wake from my wife's grandmother. So it happened. The roads were closed. Everything was shut down, and here I am driving down the Parkway to Central Jersey, watching everything burn to my left as I'm going. And it was one of those days.
Yes, it was. Tonight we have a pretty exciting guest, Kiara Loucks. Did you read her biography?
Yes. I was taught how to read. It's pretty good.
Well, I tell you what, and this is going to be exciting for our listeners because in 28 years, she has done a lot of living.
A lot.
I mean, I'm talking about she's a military spouse, world-class athlete, and had a lot of ups and downs. After reading her story, I would consider her pretty much an expert in the health and fitness world based on what she's done. And I was impressed. And I can't wait to kick this off and talk with her. So without any further ado, let's get her in here and let's start it.
Well, hey guys, we can stop the show after that intro. That was the most hyped up intro I've ever seen. I love it. Ready to go do something.
Well, hey,
right.
We talked a little bit about your bio. Why don't you just go ahead and kind of fill in the gaps for us and start from wherever you want to start and bring us up to this point.
All right. I think you might regret just giving me the wheel like that, but I loved.
Oh, we'll cut you off.
Oh, okay. Off the stage. Okay. I loved there. I think there was a little tidbit in your intro where it said the fight for success. You bring people on that have had to showcase the fight for success. And I think that's such a great way to summarize the way I've attacked everything in my life. So it's never been handed to me. It's never been delivered on a silver platter. It's always been something that I've either had to fight for or figure out the entrance from the roof to get into. I wasn't born a crazy athlete, truthfully, like really the only athlete in my family minus my brother. So grew up in Colorado, played softball as a kid, and then actually ended up breaking my back my senior year, quite literally. Broke 2 vertebrae and ended up putting on a significant amount of weight. Went into college at close to 240 pounds and ended up walking on to the rowing team at University of Louisville. I know we have some people who don't like University of Louisville here, but we're just going to let it ride. But ended up walking on there onto their novice team and made a varsity spot and rowed all 4 years, ended up in an NCAA championship, and it changed my life. So I think just learning this concept of grit, like shit is going to suck some days. You got to show up and do the work anyway, whether it's glamorous or not, because we have a goal. We have somewhere we're trying to go. And so was a rower through college, ended up moving to Poland, working at the World Games, which is the counterpart to the Olympics, all of the crazy sports like in the air and pickleball and you name it. Went over, lived there, worked for the games, and just decided I wasn't done being an athlete and didn't know where to go, but wanted to go big. And so Googled what sports I could make it to the Olympics and not have done my whole life. Found bobsled. Didn't know what bobsled was, so I watched Cool Runnings and decided it was for me. And so I ordered a pair of spikes, like sprinter spikes, sent them to Park City because they run a combine very similar to the NFL. Showed up and right out the gate got interviewed by NBC's Olympic coverage team because that was the last Winter Olympics cycle. They interviewed everyone and everyone had a story why they deserved to be there and make the team. And then they got to me and it's still somewhere out there on the internet. And they asked why I thought I would make it. I said I had 0 qualifications. It was the reason I should make that team. And so did the combine, ended up not making it, but I knew I wanted to. And so I messaged the coach for the U.S. Olympic team at the time, sent him this message and said, I'll give you everything. I'll move. Whatever it takes. I'm your girl. And he said, this is interesting. Let's do it. And so I moved to Johnson City, Tennessee, which is where the Olympic Training Center is for that group. Ended up working and living there and then was a pilot for the U.S. and then ultimately Canada, just amateur. So I didn't make it to the Olympics. I'm not quite that cool, but a lot of people can't say that they were a bobsled pilot and got to travel to Canada and Switzerland. And so ended up having a pretty traumatic brain injury out of that, which is why people don't bobsled. Now we know. And that was over in Switzerland. So I got out of that, dabbled in some endurance events, and then met the love of my life, actually, who is active military. He's in the Army. And we got orders to move to Italy. Did that in 21. And then Ukraine kicked off and there was just a lot of volatility there. It's a very difficult dynamic to develop a community just at that base. So I moved home and have since found Olympic weightlifting and placed pretty highly in the state of Colorado and then started personal training. And now I'm on my bodybuilding journey. My husband gets out of the military in November. So really excited for that and kind of the next journey. We're looking at a 130-mile race in the Arctic Circle to celebrate him getting out in February, that we'll get to do together and partner with a nonprofit to raise funds to go to veteran mental health causes. So really excited for the journey, but it's been a wild one.
Yeah, that's been quite a trip. That has been quite a trip. I actually started my Army career out there in Colorado.
In Colorado Springs?
I lived in Fountain, but yeah, I was there at Fort Carson. Yes.
That's awesome. It's a good spot.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I read something in your bio that talks about fueling for performance.
Yeah.
And not weight loss.
Yes.
Could you expand on that a little bit and kind of tell us?
My pleasure. Yeah. So around the time that I had put on that weight, broke my back, I actually developed an eating disorder, which we categorize as really out there and scary, but 1 in 2 people right now, and that's not a made up statistics, that is real, have an unhealthy relationship with food, whether you're male or female. And so we look at food as this thing that either we can't control or we try to control and we're under eating perpetually. And so we're not truly fueling ourselves. And I dealt with those issues for the last 11 years. In total, I have lost 100 pounds and have wanted to do this bodybuilding show for the last 11 years. And now it's finally time, because I have learned that eating is something that we do to fuel ourselves. It's not a pastime. It doesn't need to be a celebration every time. It's not what we reach for when we're stressed out, which we all are right now. It's something that we need to look at as, I need this for a primal reason. And that's why I will pick the foods that I will pick.
Okay. All right. And I'm not going to get into, well, just what's your typical day of foods that you pick?
Yeah. So, really the last several years has been more intuitive eating. So fueling to lift weights, to perform, not so much the aesthetics. So I know this is counter to kind of where we just let in on this topic, but since I am in prep for this show, the best way of looking at my diet is really anti-inflammatory at the base of it. So I'm not eating processed sugars. I'm not eating a bunch of processed grains. It's a lot of, when I wake up in the morning, I have my oats, I have my eggs, I have a protein shake, and then I'm off to go lift. So quick carb, quick protein, and I actually also have a little peanut butter before that, just to make it last through that workout.
Okay.
Immediately after the workout, I'll do a protein and a carb again, just to get some energy back in the system. And then I'll have my meal, which is unfortunately right now chicken and rice at 9 a.m. And then we move on to pretty lean beef. So I mix up my protein sources just to hit those different micronutrients across those. So for lunch, I eat red meat, which is not bad. So it's a lean ground beef, like 96.4 with rice. And then in the afternoon, I'll do a quick snack, which is a protein source of choice. Sometimes it's another shake and then some oats. And then dinner right now is just, you could sell it, I'm pretty sure, at a Michelin star restaurant. It's tilapia and eggs.
I could deal with that. I'm a big fan of catfish and eggs. So
God bless you, Jake. Nope, that's not a meal people should be eating. But all the respect in the world. So yeah, so at the base of it, I mean, it's not super crazy. I have greens with all of those meals too. Typically start my day out with greens as well. It's not super glamorous again, but we need those micronutrients to perform, to recover, to be human. And it really just helps kind of with all of the inflammatory angles that we get with the processed diet we have here in America. So
now, you didn't mention fruit once. Is fruit
yeah.
in there? Okay.
Great question. So I do a little pineapple or papaya with a couple of those as well. So I like my fresh foods, my whole foods. Great call out. Yes. So I will do those typically earlier in the morning because that's around my workout. I'm moving, going to burn it off. I need it for energy. So I will do some of those fruits earlier in the day.
Is it true what they say you're supposed to eat the fruits before noon because they take the longest to go through the system? Is that right?
That is one way of looking at it. I truthfully believe that you can eat, especially like berries, like those really nutrient dense fruits any time of the day. You want to watch out for certain fruits that will kind of spike your energy. So bananas can be one, but without overcomplicating it, I don't think you have to time restrict when you're eating your fruits.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's something I heard a while back and I just didn't know if that was right or not.
Fair enough. Well, I have been in and around the industry for a while and I've not heard that one. So I'm going to give you the go ahead. You can eat your fruit with your dinner. Just go wild.
Now, I have a downfall.
Okay.
And it's dark chocolate.
Oh.
I love it.
Yeah.
But I don't eat very much of it because I know once I get started, it
doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. Now, do you have a day or a time of day where, like, if it's something that you just crave, do you like have that like once a week or?
Great question. Yeah. So first off, dark chocolate is not all bad for you. It just depends kind of what dark chocolates you're buying. So my rule of thumb,
a pound of it at a time is.
Okay, yeah, like let's scale back. Okay. No. You don't need that. But rule of thumb is that if the ingredient list is 3 or less, you're probably good to go. A lot of those dark chocolates have percentages of cacao in them. Cacao is that natural ingredient that is good for you on a micronutrient level. So small doses, okay? Small doses are not bad for you. As far as veering off menu, I would say I'm a bit of a psycho just because I like to test myself, create environments where we are testing and kind of sharpening that edge. Most of the time throughout the year, when I'm not in prep, I will have a day where I intuitively eat. So if I want to go out, I don't like processed food at this point just because of the way it makes me feel. I'm not trying to be pretentious. Like I'm better than that. I will sometimes still go get processed food. I just know I'm going to pay for it because I feel like shit. My mental clarity is not there. And so I will sometimes go out, or I do have some of my like, I'll sneak this or make an exception for this, especially homemade goodies. Like I can't say no. This prep though, I think is kind of just proving to myself I don't need those things. And I think for us as a general population, and the fitness industry has really done a number on people in telling us like, we need this cheat day. We need this day where we can go off our plan and indulge. And my question is why? We're adults. We're not kids. We can control what we eat, and we do not need those things. If it is something that you have such a mental attachment to that food, maybe start at why do we have a mental attachment to that food? Is it something you reach for when you're stressed, when you're emotional? Is it something that's filling a void outside of what you need physically? And then starting there and asking that question, but knowing that we are human and it's okay to enjoy what we're given. I think. So just checking your intention and being really conscientious about when you do go off menu, and making that choice. It's not you show up with a plan and then, oh shit, they're the cookies, and you veer from the plan. If you're making a conscious decision to go into that equation and have a couple things off menu, that's different. You have a plan, you're going to stick to it and limit what you're eating. You're not going to eat the whole container of cookies, but you can have a couple and it's okay. But I think if you're on a plan or you think of your cheat day, your cheat meal, by and large for the general population, you don't need those ideally if you're eating a balanced diet.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a question here from Dhruva in Nepal. Thank you for your question. He says, while climbing, we eat as we go for fuel. Would it be better to load prior and then snack along the way, or...
Great question. Yeah. So I love this. First off, I have so many questions for you. This sounds amazing. But my advice is before you go out for the day, maybe an hour before you push off, I would eat a balanced meal. So you're getting your carbs, your protein, and your fat, whole foods. So as much as you can, you may be having to supplement with protein on the road there as you're climbing, but have a whole meal as much as you can an hour before you go. And then I would definitely recommend, especially if you're going to be out for multiple hours, bring snacks. So you want a quick protein and a quick carb, especially. You don't want a heavy dose on the fats. So I wouldn't recommend bringing a container of peanut butter and eating that because we're slow to use that as energy. But if you can bring some carbs, fruits are great. Even some higher glycemic index sugar treats are okay because you're going to burn it if you're working that hard all day. I would typically go cleaner just because you're going to feel better. But yeah, bring that carb, bring a protein, even if it's protein bars, if it's a protein shake. Jerky is one of my favorite for when I'm out hiking with my dog. I'll bring jerky for me and him. We just swap bites. So there you go.
All right. That's some good advice.
Thank you.
Especially on the cheating and the chocolate. Yeah, I don't need it, but I love it. So
I get it.
I'm that way with black licorice.
Oh,
I'll open the bag and I have to eat that whole damn bag every time I open it up.
And honestly, for some people, it works to like set out what you agree to eat. Like if you're making that choice before you eat it, instead of blind grabbing out the bag, like put out what you're going to eat and stick to that.
Oh yeah, I'll put out 6 pieces, and then 5 minutes later I'll put out 6 pieces, and it just keeps going.
Fair enough.
Those 6 pieces didn't last as long as I thought they would.
Exactly. You're watching TV, you're flipping through things, and like, oh, I need more of this. Why did I stop eating that licorice? Pour more out.
Right. Need more.
Kiara, I noticed in your bio that you kind of slipped into some darkness.
Yeah.
And you got a semicolon in your life. Would you mind talking about how you pulled yourself out of that?
Yeah, going back to the fight for success. I think it's really easy to look at people who seem to have it figured out from the outside. And I've always had those people we all have that we look at and think that they've never gone through something difficult. Or if they have, it's probably really trivial to whatever I've gone through. Like they've never gone through that. So as I'm kind of venturing out into these amazing conversations, really pushing to like own what has gone on in our life. And so I have in the last 5 years experienced everything from 2 traumatic brain injuries to a sexual assault to losing 2 children, moving around the planet and back, and thinking my husband was dead multiple times over. And it was never something that I thought I would be professional at, like enduring crap in our life. And it's something that when you're going through it, I'm sure you've both experienced it as well. People tell you how strong you are, but it's not a choice. It is something that you have to do to keep showing up. And so we get to choose what that strength looks like. It could just be showing up and accepting a baseline existence and accepting that you are a victim in that equation, which we are all, susceptible to doing. And I have done at times too. But you realize really quickly, and what I have through our journey is that I don't necessarily think we go through all these things for a reason. I don't think God put me on this planet to endure terrible things. But what I do believe is that when we own our stories, so when we are able to overcome those things in a very impactful way, which means not only just picking yourself up and dusting the dirt off your butt, it means picking up and realizing you are a new person after you come through difficulty, and then acknowledging who that new person is. So it's not this like passive thing that happens. I think for me, every one of those times, I remember my workout the day after, which looking back, terrible to train after a TBI and certain other things. However, it was never a question in my mind whether I was going to keep going or not. It was always, here's my routine. This is my baseline, and we're showing up no matter what. And whether it was crying on the floor, not able to pick myself up at the gym, or barely getting through that workout and having the worst workout, doesn't matter. You showed up and you did it. And now it's looking at what's next. And for a lot of those, it is healing. And I don't think, as a society, we all need to sign up for therapy and overemphasize that for our day to day. But there is a healing process that is very active. You have to figure out what was hurt, what you need to fix, how you fix it, and then you fix it. And that's the person that you want to carry forward, because that person has all these new superpowers. And it's not like I would ever wish terrible things on people, but the people that I know, and I would like to believe this about myself, who have gone through just ridiculous trial, are the ones who have compassion. They have a new fire for life, and they realize how valuable our time really is here and how much we all need each other. So happy to kind of go into any of those individually, but yeah, there's been a lot in addition to the eating disorder before all of this and breaking my back. Like it, to a degree, there has been this feeling like it's one thing after the next. Why? And it's realizing that life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. And I get to dictate the story that comes out of this. So,
well, we're glad that you're still here.
Oh, thank you. Me too.
That's kind of one of the mission statements here is we're trying to help people out of that darkness. And A lot of the people that we have on the show have been in that situation and share their stories. And I like to tell everybody that, hey, we're glad that you're still here. And if this reaches one person and pulls them out of it, tonight's show was a success. And
Absolutely.
I will always believe that.
Absolutely.
And the other thing we talk about a lot, and you're saying going to the gym, and even if you're laying there crying, stacking victories. You got up and you did something.
Yes.
That's a victory for you. You didn't just say, all right, I'm done, and let me sit back and the hell with the world.
Right.
Every day you get up, every day you push forward.
And I
So
think
you're stacking victories every day.
Correct. Absolutely. And I think one thing that has really pushed me to get into the health and fitness space is looking back and taking an audit and recognizing those workouts I showed up for are the reason I was able to keep going. It was the first victory we stacked. And then it was keeping momentum after that. And what we don't realize, because Lord knows I've had my bouts with depression, it is so real to feel like you cannot get up and get off the couch. Like things are too heavy to even move. But the one thing that you are avoiding could be the thing that pulls you out of that hole. And it's something so simple as going for a walk and getting sunshine that could completely change your situation. Or it's the one conversation or pleasant interaction you have on that walk that could save you or just channel you in the direction you need to go. And so helping share that as an alternative for people or a solution for people to show them like movement is the cure. And it isn't always what we want to do, but man, it's what we were born to do. And it is what helps us. So.
Yes. Yes, it is. As you travel through life, let's think of 10, 20 years after you're gone.
Okay.
What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to say about you?
I love that. A question I've been sitting with a lot actually recently, and I think I came up with a good answer. My answer. I want people to say I was useful, that I served others in a meaningful way, that I left an impact on their life or their children's life. I think working with a lot of adults, you realize as children, we are looking to our parents or whatever our authority figure is for that example. And so many parents, so many adults right now don't know how to take care of themselves on just a foundational level. So helping that, like teaching them how to take care, teaching them how to fish. And then they teach their kids. And then their kids have this new baseline that you don't realize by teaching someone how to take care of themselves, you could impact a generation or 2 generations of people or more. So I want to be remembered as useful. I want to be remembered as positive, which I think is such a cliche, but we live in this world full of so much hate and disparity and disagreement that having one person who can bring positivity to the table on a recurring basis is actually a blessing. And I have those people in my life and I just value them so much. So useful and positive.
Okay. Useful, positive. Well, I can definitely say that, after this, you got the positive down.
Well, thank you. Working on the useful.
Hey, you give me some things that I'm gonna change up some hat. I could probably tip the scales a little lower than what I do right now. So I might have to start implementing some of those things. Got a comment here. It says, "Stay strong. You're a motivation for all of us who have gone through this."
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Now, I'm sure how cool was it sliding down in the bobsled, and did you meet the Jamaican team?
Okay, so but funny enough, there was a single Jamaican who was training at the Olympic Training Center in US. So I did meet one, but not the whole team. Sliding down a track is probably one of the most indescribable feelings. It's an experience. So as a pilot, the only thing sticking above my sled are my eyes. And you're going about 120 kilometers an hour. You can look up the conversion to miles per hour. It's still freaking fast. And so what happens is it's shaking. It's a 400-pound sled plus your brakeman. And so it's just loud and chaotic, and you're going through turns that have G-force. So you go through oscillation curves where you have multiple oscillations, which means you're in this curve, the G-force is pulling you, and it pulls you up, and then you go down, and then it pulls you up again, and you go down. And it's just this wild experience. And as a pilot, people don't realize how you steer a bobsled. You have two little D rings that you hold on to, and they're tiny movements. So if you hit a bump, if you hit something weird, it's easy to crank it and make a bad turn, which is what happened to me. I crashed, like I said, in Switzerland going 120 kilometers an hour. The sled tipped over on top of me. My head was the first thing to hit the ice. And when you're going downhill, there is really no way to stop a cumulative 700 pounds. And so we just kept riding, and I pulled myself under the hood. Actually thought I had killed my brakeman. He was from Monaco at the time. And so just started screaming his name and praying he was alive. And sure enough, he made it and was pretty banged up. But yeah, so it's an experience. It comes at you fast. Ride down the track is only all of about 35 to 55 seconds, but it is a wild 55 seconds.
and I'm guessing, unlike NASCAR, there's no harm's device holding your head until you're just banging around.
Yeah, so really one of the things, because I got that first TBI and then I went to compete for up in Canada, sometimes the runs are so rough, it can actually cause damage, much like NFL. CTE. So what happens is there's no seatbelt, there's nothing holding you in, and 74 miles per hour for those asking. Thank you, whoever this was. But essentially, like much like little bumps on the road. So if you were to lay down and look at the road, there are just little bumps and movements. The ice is the same way. So they carve it, but there are still little waves. When you hit one of those little bumps on the ice going that fast, what happens is your ass comes out the seat, which means your head's coming out the seat, and it will typically hit right behind your ear, right on the sled coming back down. So it's really easy to get hurt and mess yourself up in that sport.
Damn.
Yeah.
Now,
you won't catch my big ass doing that then.
Fair enough. You never know. Never say never.
Now, what do you do to pump yourself up when you're hitting blocks that are in your way?
Yeah. So these are going to sound cliche, but they work. And sometimes cliches stick around because they freaking work. And so first off, I will remind myself of every other thing I've faced that I thought I couldn't face. And then here I am now. So it's walking yourself through like, okay, I thought I couldn't figure this out 10 times before, but here we are. There's never been something I couldn't overcome. So we can overcome this. Second, I will spend time with my dog out in nature. And it sounds really simple and kind of silly, but get your butt outside as much as you can. And for me, I do really well being kind of out in nature, like away from people when I'm really in the walk. And so my dog and I will go get a cabin. I live in Colorado, very fortunate. So we'll head up to the Rockies and go spend time in the mountains. And there's something about being alone in the woods that you kind of reconnect with what we're truly made of and who we really are. And you remember what really matters. And those things will help me. And then the third thing is I know it's really easy for us to isolate when we're hitting a block, to not talk to people. We don't want to interact with people. And this may vary for other people, but for me, interactions and relationships are an energy giver. And I truly believe that good connection is one of those things to get me going again, because my circle, the people I lean on, know who I am at my core, and they are faithful to remind me of that. So I lean on those people as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You mentioned getting out in the woods in Colorado. When I was out there, it was before all the casinos and everything hit up in Cripple Creek and Victor.
Yep.
And we used to drive to Canyon City, get on Phantom Canyon Road, and just drive and pull over and then camp for a weekend.
It's the best.
And it was, you might see two people all weekend, and it was amazing.
There is really nothing in this world that make your shoulders go from here to here, like looking at the stars away from everyone else.
Yes.
So I love
So
that.
we don't have stars in New Jersey. It's all lighting.
I know.
You can't see any damn thing.
It's impossible.
You look up, you see a satellite blink once in a while. That's it.
Steven, you're a star.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
true love.
I'm a YouTuber.
Out of all your experiences, which experience has taught you the most, either about you, about life in general, or, you know, what have you learned the most from?
It's funny because I'm used to answering this as it pertains to a job interview. And so I don't get the cumulative life scope on this. Honestly, I hope my husband listens to this. It's getting married. I think when you are on your own, you kind of let a lot of the ends go loose. You don't really pay attention to the fine details because it's not affecting someone else. You don't really communicate as well as you may need to. You don't understand your strengths and your weaknesses as much as you do when you have someone there to balance those out. And ideally, not in a asshole way, but in a loving way, call out the things that you are missing out on to be your best self. And so for me, getting married and really navigating this unusual situation we have, he is overseas. Yeah. So I think, and to that point too, like we have lived 5,000 miles away for the last 2 years. And so really figuring out how to communicate and identify what I need, telling that to someone else, and then vice versa, reacting to that. I mean, it's just taught me so, so much. And I think it's really brought me back to what matters most in my life. It has made me realize that my family is the most important thing. I think athletics are great, career is great. All of those things are fantastic. But what if you lose it all? For some reason, something happens, you can't compete anymore. You can't work on Wall Street anymore. Who's going to be there? It's your family. And who's going to be there on your deathbed? Your family. And so that for me, I think has taught me more than any failure, any success. It's my marriage to my husband.
Yeah. I would have to agree wholeheartedly with that. I've got my better half, Mickey. It doesn't matter what kind of day I've been having or how grumpy I am or what, she's always, no matter how bad I'm feeling, she's there. Yep. And she's talked me off the ledge before, and it's great. It's great having somebody like that.
Absolutely. And we've both done that for each other. We've both had moments where we are at really our lowest low. And it's understanding, what does that person need? And sometimes it is space. Sometimes we need space to sit with our shit. And so having someone who honors that and respects that, but then knows how to push you to get back on it and knows when it's time. Like, it's such a gift. And yeah, lots of lessons learned.
If my boss yells at him without empathy, yes, that happened.
Ooh.
Your top 5 things to do in the greater Colorado Springs area.
Okay. I'm going to be really honest. I have spent some time out in Colorado Springs, not a whole bunch. So number 1 is the incline. So right outside of Colorado Springs near Manitou Springs is the incline. It's really known as like the hardest thing to do in Colorado. I don't know, but it's like this huge challenge. Very fun. It's a mile vertical. You don't have to go fast. It's just cool to do it. If you're getting off the plane and coming to Colorado Springs, though, give yourself a day to acclimate to the altitude, just letting you know, and then go tackle it. So that one's cool. Manitou Springs right there too also has a bunch of cool restaurants, things to do, walk around. It's kind of a cute little spot, just tiny town. Otherwise in Colorado Springs, cool little resort, Broadmoor. It's beautiful. If you're fancy and hoity-toity, go check it out, even just for a dinner. And then outside of that, Colorado Springs is actually, I think, as big or bigger than Denver Metro. So there's a ton to do, whether it's shopping or events or whatever, it's Colorado Springs. Go find something.
Yeah, and I'll add to that the zoo, the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo up at the Broadmoor. It's not a big zoo, but it's very. I like to go in there in the wintertime. Because they had some snow leopards up there, and that's their time of year, and that was really cool. But I haven't been there since 1989, so
it's changed a little bit.
yeah, it's changed just a little bit. And touring NORAD, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So but, you know more than I do.
That's just stuff I remember, but that was all pretty cool to do. Now, all successful people have certain things that they do every day.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do every day, and what is non-negotiable? What is something that no matter what, you have to do it every day?
I love that. It's actually, I've, for the first time in my life, taken a pause to reset what my non-negotiables are. So forever it's been reading, journaling, and movement, non-negotiable. And then something outside, even for 10, 15 minutes. If I go sit outside, I just need to be outside. Now I have built into my day, non-negotiable, 15 minutes a day, sitting with a blank piece of paper, dreaming. And it's not any distractions. It's not structured anyway, but it's dreaming about both those long-term things and then those immediate things. So what do I see myself having? What do I want to accomplish? How do I want to impact people?
Okay.
And I think we really quickly, I think all of us really underestimate the value of visualizing and spending time with those things. I had a brief moment last week where I'd always dreamed about having a new forerunner and competing in a bodybuilding show, whatever. And here I am last week putting something in my new forerunner and getting ready to do my bodybuilding show. And we realized okay, if we set this goal in our mind, then we can start reverse engineering that plan. But a lot of us have lost that muscle of dreaming at all. And so putting it out there, just letting yourself dream and come from the heart. It's a good one.
All right. So if somebody wants to contact you,
yes,
and ask you your secrets to success, how do they do that?
Yeah. So the best way right now, we are working on a website that we're launching ahead of kind of this business release. Best way to contact me is Instagram. Shoot me a message, follow along. I put out health and wellness tips every day, health, wellness, mindset, and relationships. So love doing that. I also just partnered with First Form, which is a supplement company. They really align with my personal brand, going back to the grit, the resilience, the unabashed owning of ourselves and presenting ourselves as who we are. So really aligned with them. So I'll be featured in some of their content coming up and aligned with their group as well. So perfect. Thank you for dropping the link.
All right. And I've got one last question for you before we get out of here.
Okay.
What's 3 things that you would share with the world if you had the power to make the world a better place, like all of it? What's 3 things that you think that you would gift everybody?
Number 1, I would gift people the ability to see themselves as other people see them. I think a lot of us don't see ourselves for who we truly are and really underestimate ourselves and don't see our superpowers. But the people who love us, the people who see us, see those things and really want those things to flourish. Number 2 is learn to love that self. So accepting yourself, I feel like a lot of the problem we have right now in society is people who really, truly hate themselves because they aren't chasing the things that they want to pursue. They aren't getting out and doing those things. So it's a lot easier to drag someone else down like a crab in a bucket than it is to get your ass off the couch and go do it. So loving yourself and pursuing those things because you deserve it and because you are worthy of it. And then number 3 is giving the gift of connection. So truly connecting with your neighbor, taking care of each other, this idea of community that has seemingly been so lost on our society today, that gift of community, I want to bring that back. So. That's it. 3.
Okay. All right.
That was
All
great.
right.
Oh,
It was. It's very sound advice. I would like to remind everybody listening on all of our different platforms to like and subscribe. For those of you who are joining the recorded version of this, we'd like to welcome you to the show and thank you for tuning in. And I think we're going to close this out.
Let's do it.
Steven, you got anything else?
No. God bless America.
God bless America. And again, let's tomorrow, everybody take a moment of silence and remember all the brave souls that we lost September 11th, 2001. And it will definitely be a somber day. And, we're still with all those families out there that lost loved ones. And we love you, Misfit Nation. Thank you for tuning in.
Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for being here.
And
Guys.
Kiara, if you'll hang out in the green room for just a few, please. All right. Thank you.
This is a message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Got a question about your VA benefits, healthcare, or eligibility? Go to va.gov, where you can access a new interactive chatbot to ask questions 24/7. One can still browse va.gov for information, but you can now ask specific questions to the chatbot, like what's the PACT Act? How do I apply for disability benefits? What's my claim status? You can access the new feature through va.gov's Contact Us page. Then click on the Start Chat button. The chatbot will continue to improve veterans' access to information about the benefits and services they've earned. This is one way VA is offering seamless and secure access to its online resources.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.